Would you eat something that smells so bad it's banned on public transportation? Or a food that contains poison unless prepared correctly? In today's countdown, I'm taking you on a global journey through 7 foods that look and smell absolutely horrifying, but are considered treasured delicacies by those who grow up eating them. From rotten shark meat to squirming larvae cheese, these foods push the boundaries of what most people consider edible, yet millions swear they're worth the initial disgust. I still remember my first encounter with one of these foods in Thailand. The look on my face had locals laughing for hours. Ready to test your culinary courage? Our first culinary dare brings us face to face with the notorious durian. This spiky, medieval weapon-looking fruit is infamous enough to be banned in numerous hotels, public transportation, and even entire buildings across Southeast Asia. One whiff of its powerful aroma and you'll understand why. Signs with crossed-out durians are as common as no smoking signs in Singapore and Malaysia. The smell is often described as a combination of gym socks, gasoline, and sewage. We captured tourists in Bangkok encountering it for the first time, with reactions from immediate recoiling to actual gagging. "It's like rotten onions left in a hot car for a week," remarked one American visitor. Meanwhile, local vendor Maylene told us, "Foreigners make funny faces, but after they taste it, many change their minds." In Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, durian holds an almost sacred status as the king of fruits. During durian season, entire festivals celebrate its arrival, with competitions for the best varieties and specialty desserts. The science behind durian's potent odor comes from volatile sulfur compounds, the same chemicals responsible for rotting eggs. But like peeling back a tough exterior to reveal hidden treasure, slice through that formidable husk, and you'll discover creamy custard-like flesh with a complex flavor of sweet cream, vanilla, almond, and caramel. Something between rich cheesecake and tropical custard. Moving from one sensory challenge to another, we encounter Japan's famous natto, a dish that quite literally fights back when you try to eat it. As chopsticks lift these fermented soybeans from their container, gossamer-like strands stretch between the bowl and utensils, creating a spiderweb effect that makes many Western diners hesitate before their first bite. The resistance extends beyond its sticky texture to a powerful, pungent aroma with notes of ammonia, a smell that divides even Japanese citizens into passionate devotees and firm avoiders. Despite this divisive nature, natto remains a breakfast staple for millions of Japanese, with an estimated 7.5 billion packages consumed annually, particularly in eastern regions like Tokyo. This fermentation signature originated during the Yayoi period, around 300 BC, though it became truly popular during the Edo period as common street food. The traditional preparation involves soaking soybeans and steaming them until soft. Bacillus subtilis bacteria, originally delivered through rice straw wrappers, are then introduced to the beans. During the 18-hour fermentation at 40 degrees Celsius, these bacteria transform proteins and carbohydrates into polyglutamic acid, creating those infamous sticky strands and umami flavor. Despite its challenging characteristics, natto delivers remarkable nutritional benefits, containing significant vitamin K2 for bone health, reducing cholesterol, improving digestion through probiotics, and providing nattokinase, an enzyme studied for dissolving blood clots. While nutritional powerhouses often come in strange packages, none quite challenges our culinary courage like balut. This Filipino delicacy exists in a fascinating liminal space, the precise moment between when an egg is simply an egg and when it becomes a duckling. Balut requires scientific precision, a ticking culinary clock where timing determines perfection. The 14 to 18-day incubation creates varying textures and development stages. Eggs incubated for 16 days yield softer embryos, while longer periods develop more defined features. The youngest varieties, mamatong, have such tender embryos they actually float inside the egg. In Filipino night markets, vendors cradle these treasures in warm sand buckets. As darkness falls, balut transforms into the protein-packed snack of choice, especially alongside alcoholic beverages. Local wisdom celebrates balut's supposed hangover prevention properties. The eating technique complements this cultural practice. First, crack the shell to release the rich, savory broth. Season the contents with salt or a mixture of chili, garlic, and vinegar before consuming the tender embryo and creamy yolk. Some connoisseurs consume everything inside, while others might leave the albumin depending on the egg's age. Each approach honoring the delicate transformation that makes balut so uniquely remarkable. If balut represents an interrupted journey, century eggs embody complete transformation through chemistry and time. Imagine unwrapping what appears to be a prehistoric relic. It's white now, a translucent amber brown, surrounding a creamy greenish-gray yolk with crystalline patterns on the surface. These geological-looking oddities trace back roughly 600 years to Ming Dynasty China. A compelling story tells of a young farmer named Shuige, who left eggs in a woman's garden as a courting gesture. When discovered weeks later in an ash pit, they had transformed into what he named pine-patterned eggs in her honor. The egg's texture becomes silky and gelatinous, with a complex flavor profile balancing earthy, savory notes with a subtle ammonia finish that devotees prize. The preservation process involves coating eggs in an alkaline mixture of clay, ash, salt, and lime that triggers remarkable chemical changes over months. This traditional method concentrates the egg's vitamin B12 content to levels significantly higher than found in regular chicken eggs, nearly twice the amount per 100 grams. Century eggs appear in diverse culinary contexts. In central China, they're sliced with black vinegar as a side dish. Cantonese cuisine pairs them with pickled ginger, while Shanghainese recipes incorporate them with chilled tofu. Taiwanese preparations place century egg slices atop cold tofu with katsuobushi, soy sauce, and sesame oil. From transformative chemistry to survival adaptation, we now travel to Iceland, where Vikings turned a deadly predator into a national dish. When renowned chef Anthony Bourdain encountered Hákarl, he simply called it the single worst thing I've ever put in my mouth. The Greenland shark represents a genuine survival challenge that Icelanders transformed into cultural heritage. Its meat contains deadly levels of trimethylamine oxide, like a biological poison bomb that would hospitalize anyone consuming it fresh. This toxicity exists because the shark lacks kidneys, processing waste through its bloodstream and tissues instead. Survival in Iceland's harsh landscape demanded ingenuity. The traditional preparation requires burying shark meat underground for 6 to 12 weeks, allowing it to ferment, then hanging it to dry for an additional 4 to 5 months in Iceland's biting winds. This process neutralizes the toxins but creates an overwhelming ammonia smell that assaults the senses. First-time tasters typically exhibit extreme reactions: involuntary gagging, streaming eyes, and inability to swallow even the smallest piece. Yet for Icelanders, beneath that initial ammonia assault lies a complex flavor profile reminiscent of strong blue cheese with nutty, fishy undertones. The ritual often involves shots of brennivin, Iceland's traditional schnapps nicknamed Black Death, which helps mask the intensity during Thorrablot, a midwinter festival celebrating Icelandic heritage. While Icelanders use shots of Black Death to make their fermented shark palatable, we're headed to Sardinia, where people risk legal consequences and potential health hazards for a cheese that's literally crawling with life. Casu Marzu exists in a peculiar legal limbo, officially banned throughout the European Union yet simultaneously protected as a traditional Sardinian product. This forbidden cheese thrives in an underground economy worth 2 to 3 million euros annually, commanding double the price of regular pecorino, a testament to how far enthusiasts will go for this culinary adventure. The cheese's controversial nature lives in its name. Rotten cheese. Producers deliberately introduce cheese fly larvae whose digestive enzymes transform ordinary pecorino into a soft, creamy delicacy. When you see the tiny creatures writhing inside, you hesitate, admits one Sardinian farmer, but then you taste something beyond description. Production follows precise timing, beginning in late June when sheep milk changes during reproductive season. Cheesemakers believe a warm Sirocco wind enhances the transformation. Most striking is the Sardinian insistence that proper Casu Marzu must contain living maggots. If they're dead, we won't touch it, explains a local enthusiast. Yet scientific research warns these larvae can survive stomach acid, potentially causing intestinal parasitic infections, a risk devoted fans willingly accept. Moving from Italy to Sweden, we encounter a food that creates a perfect chemical storm of propionic acid, butyric acid, hydrogen sulfide, and acetic acid. The chemistry behind Surströmming is fascinating. A lactic acid enzyme in the fish's spine works alongside bacteria to transform Baltic herring into something extraordinary. The fermentation process is a delicate balancing act, like a pressure cooker of flavors and gases developing inside the fish. Carefully controlled osmotic conditions allow halanaerobium bacteria to thrive. Too much salt would halt fermentation entirely, while too little leads to simple spoilage. These bacteria decompose the fish glycogen into various organic acids that create Surströmming's distinctive character. Fermentation continues actively inside the sealed tin. The gases produced cause the can to physically bulge, creating what some airlines have technically classified as an explosive. This is why opening Surströmming underwater has become standard practice. It prevents the escaping gas from spraying brine everywhere. When properly served, Surströmming becomes part of a cultural experience known as a Surströmming skiva. As Mats from Stockholm told me, the Surströmmingsklemma sandwich with buttered tunnbröd is our heritage. You hate it and love it at the same time. The fish is traditionally eaten with tunnbröd, boiled potatoes, diced red onion, and sometimes Västerbotten cheese to balance the strong flavors. Our journey through these 7 foods reveals something profound about human experience. What we initially label as disgusting is often just unfamiliar, a boundary created by our cultural upbringing rather than objective reality. Each culinary challenge, from Durian to Surströmming, carries a rich cultural heritage worth exploring. By overcoming food prejudices, we practice a form of cultural empathy that extends beyond the dinner table. Psychology research confirms this connection. Food neophobia often correlates with xenophobia. Ready to expand your culinary horizons? Start small before tackling more intense flavors. What foods have you tried that challenged your preconceptions? Share your story below and join our community of curious taste adventurers.